Wild conspiracy theories still swirl in the 2005 death of Wisconsin photographer Teresa Halbach. Today on The Jim Hagerty Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my series on the Teresa Halbach murder and how it was portrayed in Making a Murderer, and how Convicting a Murderer's attempt to set the record straight is underway. Again, fair disclosure, I have a role in Convicting a Murderer. After Making a Murderer dropped almost 8 years ago, I started investigating Steven Avery's claim that he was framed by police for Halbach's murder, and I reported my findings for various publications. And as Daily Wire Plus prepares to drop its 8th episode of Convicting a Murderer at midnight Wednesday, the clip that producers say is a must-see, especially for those who have questions about where Teresa Halbach's bones were discovered and why so many Making a Murderer viewers believe she was burned somewhere other than Steven Avery's fire pit. As part of a conspiracy to frame him, we are going to jump into 3 other conspiracy theories that continue to surround the case. That's right, folks. Conspiracy theories still abound in the Halbach murder. And now that millions of people are talking about this case again, they're starting to resurface. Now, some of these conspiracy theories are old ones with different twists. Some of them are new that gain some traction and then fade away. But there's 3 of them that I like to call the big 3, the ones that keep coming back to me as a reporter, and I keep debunking and finding no links to. But they are worth investigating. At least they were early on in 2016 when I jumped into this. Now, the very first conspiracy theory is the one that Teresa Halbach is still alive. Now, over the years, I've heard she's living anywhere, everywhere from Canada to the cabin in the Upper Peninsula. Now, I'm from the Upper Peninsula, and I haven't seen her up there during my visits over the years. But this theory that Teresa Halbach is not dead comes from the fact that law enforcement did not photograph Avery's burn pit before they started pulling bones from the ashes. So in this theory, it's not about finding the real killer, but about finding Teresa Halbach, where she is, and why she is in hiding. That is the theory. And now that the theory that Teresa Halbach is alive kind of weaves its way into different theories, and we can talk about that on another show. But let's talk about another one. Another theory that was hatched on Reddit by a band of web sleuths who continue to claim that they are close to finding the quote-unquote real killer. Now, this has to do with Teresa Halbach's work in her photography business. Now, we know that she was an auto trader, photographer. However, she was building a business called Photography by Teresa. And some folks had come to me early on in my investigation into the Steven Avery case that Teresa Halbach was taking photos, or had some clients who wanted hired her for nude and sexually explicit photos. Now, I was able to confirm that she did take some nude photos for some clients. I also was able to confirm that she was dating one of her photography clients that she did take such photos for, and that this gentleman was married. Now, however, what I was also able to uncover was that when Teresa Halbach was dating this gentleman, he was separated from his wife. Now, she also took pictures of the wife, but both the wife and the husband have solid alibis. They were nowhere near Two Rivers, Wisconsin on the night Teresa Halbach was killed. Now, nevertheless, Halbach allegedly had taken photos, according to this theory, some nude photos for a client or clients as part of what was described to me as a quote-unquote club gig. Now, I was later told that this was a sex club, and we'll get into that discussion in a moment. But she was killed, according to this theory, by someone who she inadvertently outed as being a member of one of these clubs. Now, according to the supposition, now this is not broached at all in Making a Murderer, and it's certainly not going to be touched in Convicting a Murderer, because there really is nothing linking any of this to the death of Teresa Halbach. But these theories continue nonetheless. Now, according to the nuts and bolts of this theory, someone in law enforcement, or someone, quote, who was an elected official, or, quote, someone planning to run for office, may have been outed by Teresa as a member of a sex club, and therefore helped orchestrate the murder. Where did Stephen Avery fit into this is the big question. Now, he was the perfect patsy, a disposable suspect, obtuse enough to be framed, the Reddit story goes. Now, the story has been mentioned to me in the past. Like I said, I received a barrage of these conspiracy theories, these rumors swirling around this case because, of course, Making a Murderer left millions of people believing that Stephen Avery was framed, and they believe that someone else may have killed or absolutely did kill Teresa Halbach. And of course, these wild connections to these different scenarios around Wisconsin have been mentioned to me many times. So the Manitowoc Club is what I was told, and that is actually a club of prominent business people. It was allegedly something that was part of the underbelly of the community, and it was a sex club. I'm not sure. I believe there was a physical location, but it was secretive, and then it met different places. It was a mobile sex club, the Manitowoc Club. And now I was also told that this club was also involved in devil worship, rape, drug trafficking, and money laundering, run by people with no compunction whatsoever about killing a 25-year-old photographer that became careless with her camera. Of course, armchair detectives have attempted to link the reported sex club to Halbach's death and the sexual assault of Penny Bernstein, now for which Stephen Avery spent 18 wrongful years in prison. We know that. Now, here's the connection there. Now, a man who was at the beach the day Bernstein was attacked by Gregory Allen, it wasn't Stephen Avery, says he encountered suspicious people that he would later connect as people who asked him to join this Manitowoc sex club. Now, this witness also claims to have seen Stephen Avery on October 31st, 2005. He saw him at a gas station filling up gas cans that were in the back of his pickup truck. Now, Stephen Avery claims that on the day that Penny Bernstein was attacked, he was at Shopko like 25 minutes later, or 25 minutes away from the beach. Now, we know that Stephen Avery was wrongfully convicted. He had the sales receipt to show that he was actually at this store a ways away from the beach. And of course, Gregory Allen's pubic hair was found at the scene, and he was later linked to the case. And Stephen Avery was set free in 2003 after 18 years in prison. Now, another source reached out to me in 2016, attempting to connect Stephen Avery and Teresa Halbach to this alleged sex club. Now, the theory there is that Avery and Halbach had crossed paths in this sex club in one way or another, whether it was inadvertently, tangentially, or directly. They knew each other, of course, through Auto Trader, and then they became connected again through this Manitowoc County Sex Club. And because their business dealings through Auto Trader involved some people in the sex club, their lives were threatened. And then, of course, because Teresa had the camera, she was killed, and Avery needed to be rubbed out as well. But instead of killing him, they framed him for the murder. And, well, I investigated this and found, well, nothing. It only held up by illusion and a cacophony of whodunit Halloween lore. And speaking of Halloween lore, these whodunits and whodunit conspiracy theories connected to Teresa Halbach's murder always seem to arise or kind of rise to the surface during Halloween. And that is, of course, Halloween is when Teresa Halbach was killed in Manitowoc County. Now, because without proof here of the sex club's existence, the veracity of the sex club has not been confirmed. Everything else falls by, well, the old proverbial wayside, as they say. Now, like other theories, though, including one that cops killed 25-year-old photographer, there is no evidence to support any of this. I just have to say, at least nothing concrete. Now, there is an email that I was sent that I believe it was between Teresa Halbach and her friend. I can't remember the name of the friend. It escapes me at the moment. But some say that this email, it was talking about a club job, a quote-unquote club job, that was not really one of Teresa's best decisions to take, but that's about it. It didn't go anywhere from there. There was no explanation of what this club job was. It was just a colorful tale, as clandestine erotic fantasies go, but nothing has ever surfaced to hint that Teresa Halbach frequented a sex club or participated in any way as a photographer or a willing participant. So, But there is a third theory. Now, this one here is one kind of for the ages, really. I mean, we know about Ed Gein. We know about Jeffrey Dahmer. So Wisconsin has had its big-time killers, and it would just go to show it wouldn't be a conspiracy theory if Stephen Avery and the Brendan Dassey saga and the murder of Teresa Halbach didn't have its serial killer connection as well. So that is what the third theory here talks about. This is the theory that started to get some legs early on, but it faded away. I think there was a podcast that had something to do with this out there. I believe there was a short documentary or a short docu-series about this, and that is that serial killer Edward Wayne Edwards killed Halbach and framed Stephen Avery. The story is that Edwards was skilled at killing people and framing other people for the crimes, and then standing back and watching from afar. He would attend trials of the people that he framed, allegedly. He was allegedly present at a couple of Stephen Avery's pretrial hearings, from what I was told. I was never able to verify any of that. But nevertheless, at the center of the Edwards-Halbach theory is the claim that Edwards knew of Avery because of his 2003 exoneration. Now, there is probably some truth to that. A lot of folks in Wisconsin knew of Avery. Avery became somewhat of a folk hero, especially in the Green Bay area, and he became the poster child in Wisconsin for wrongful convictions. He had a lawsuit against the county. There was the Stephen Avery bill was being written. There was a lot of movement in Madison in the legislature to get these laws to prevent these wrongful convictions from happening after Stephen Avery was exonerated. So the fact that Edwards knew of Avery was not a shock, but Avery he received considerable media attention, so there was really no question there. Now, according to the theories that Edward was the killer and not Avery, Edwards kept tabs on Stephen Avery because of his exoneration, and he knew for some reason that Halbach took pictures for Avery on a regular basis for the Auto Trader operation. Edwards then killed Halbach, burned her body, then planted her remains on the Avery property, according to the theory. Now, there are also cryptic notes. Now, if you remember, the Sikiki letter claims that Halbach or a body was burned in an aluminum smelter, and certain things, they were encrypted like that, sort of like the letters in the Zodiac case, were sent to police. Edwards actually was told to me that Edwards was behind these letters. However, again, no links have ever been made, but Edwards does have ties to Wisconsin. It was believed that he was in Wisconsin when Teresa Halbach was killed. Now, in 2010, he pleaded guilty to the 1980 slayings of Tim Hack and Kelly Dew, two high school sweethearts from the city of Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. Edwards was arrested in 2009 and found guilty of 5 other killings over a 20-year period. In addition to the Fort Atkinson slayings, he killed 3 people in Ohio, 2 in 1977 and another in 1996. Some say Edwards may have killed 2 people in Oregon in 1960 and possibly 15 more in random cities. He died in 2011 at the Corrections Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio, just months before his scheduled execution. Now, that brings us to present day. Of course, we know that Stephen Avery is now accusing his family of being in colluding with law enforcement in framing him for the Teresa Halbach murder. Now, according to what was presented at trial, however, the evidence still points to Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. However, that doesn't mean he killed anyone. According to Stephen Avery's attorney, Kathleen Zellner, she says she is still in the process of proving that someone else planted his blood in Teresa Halbach's RAV4 and his DNA on the key that was found in his bedroom and the hood latch. Now, none of Zellner's theories connected to the death of Teresa Halbach include any mention of Satanist, a sex club, or murderous police, but she does claim that the real killer scraped blood from Avery's sink and transferred it to the RAV4. Of course, the internet is also a place for folks who believe Avery and Dassey, Brendan Dassey, are right where they belong, and they're discussing their position on several social pages, such as the subreddit Stephen Avery is Guilty. Facebook is home to Stephen Avery is Guilty as well, a page of the same name, as well as several Page is run by supporters who believe Brendan Dassey and Stephen Avery were wrongfully convicted. But join us Wednesday night at midnight as my review of Convicting a Murderer Episode 8 drops at the same time as that episode. Again, the producers, the creators of Convicting a Murderer claim that Episode 8 is a big one. It will prove, they claim, that Teresa Halbach did not leave the Avery property and she died there. That is for next time. In the meantime, look this all up, folks, because everything is on Al Gore's internet.